you know.
And you got your stuff there, and it's set up, and
Yeah.
you probably just walk in, turn the lights on, and hit the switch.
Yeah. But those restrictions can kind of be a blessing too, though, because you play more acoustic. You know,
Yeah.
if you've played electric for so long, it gives you an opportunity to go back to the acoustic guitar and practice the kind of style of music that you were playing for us earlier today, that finger picking style.
Yeah, and that was like a lot of that too. Like literally just comes about because you can't make noise. So, all right, I can't use my pick today because you know, whatever. I'm gonna wake somebody up.
Right.
So, all right, we'll just work on these like light finger picks and.
Yeah. Where did you first get like the idea to or the inspiration to start playing like that with your fingers like that?
Good question. I remember in the like a while back. I can't remember like the artist necessarily. I think I got into like classic rock, and there was just some finger picking sounds. I mean, it could have even been Landslide that I was like, you know, oh, like that sounds really cool, like beautiful to hear finger picking. So you pick up some tablature, and like, all right, I can do that, and then I can work on other chords, and then I think half the songs I played tonight were in open tuning.
Yeah.
So once a friend of mine showed me that, it kind of like changed a lot. Like
it opens your world up to
I mean, and it in a way like I discovered like a new version of my own songwriting and playing, because it's like, oh, I don't have to sound like that anymore.
Yeah.
Like the standard tuning, which is great, but it just didn't like hit the depth that I wanted.
Right. Yeah, like a lot of those open tunings are used by the old folks and blues artists, so that they don't have to worry about making chords too much. They can just go straight to the rhythm with their right hand. It's tuned to a chord. You know, open G, you strum it openly, it's a G chord, and then you can just go to town.
Yeah.
And it's much more comfortable for a finger picking style guitar player.
Yeah. And I think too, if you're just using the pick and you're strumming, I think it's good to have that as an option, but if that's all you're doing, I feel like that you can get tiring, and like you're just getting a little bit numb to like just the chord strum. So if you're able to, you know, switch up those fingers and like do that open tuning, I just think you can get deeper, like into yourself and into the song, and whatever the song idea is. You know, you just like that little jam that like the freshies we were talking about earlier. Like you just get a new idea, and you're like, all right, that's new, that's a good one.
Find more. The finger picking style kind of gives birth to new ideas because there's more possibilities rhythmically and harmonically. When you're playing the alternating bass, you can change, you know, the relationship between the bass, your bass thumb, and the melodies that you're playing on your forefinger.
Yeah.
You know?
And they're like, I think naturally you get, as you're doing that, even just starting, then you can hear or feel ideas grow to do more, as you said, like harmonies with your other fingers. Like you can, all right, I can all of a sudden hear like, okay, I should be doing something different with my fingers while my thumb is just hitting the bass.
Right.
Like you kind of hear like, oh shoot,
it's like how am I
going to do that? And then now you're workshopping an idea.
Yeah.
You know, like, all right, I hear it. Or that gives me something to do for the next couple weeks. Like,
it's great.
Figure that out.
It's great practice. It's great practice.
Yeah.
You know, working on that muscle memory, and then once you got it down like a clock, then you're just free to be as creative as you can be.
And work on voice and lyrics.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, okay, now we got that song, like we got the structure, and we got it sounding like I want it to sound, but now we better find some words.
Company. Yeah. And the finger picking style just sounds so full too, because you got like the bass playing, you got melody playing, and then if you got harmonica or vocals playing, it's really all you need. You don't need a backing band with that finger picking style. It sounds good by itself.
You can do it all there. Yeah, true. Very true.
You know, there's a local guy that did a lot of finger picking.
Yeah.
Back in the day, Dan Neal.
Dan Neal.
Dan Neal.
Yeah.
Check him out. I'm sure he's
still
playing.
Yeah.
He was amazing. He used to work at Sunnison Music.
Yeah.
Over south, and he gave guitar lessons over there.
Yeah,
But yeah, he's
check him out.
Great finger picker.
Yeah.
That's great.
Daniel, I'll have to check that guy out. Yeah.
Dan Neal, his name.
Yeah, always looking to check out more local, folksters.
Right.
Folksters and bluesmen, bluesmen and blueswomen.
He can play anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's one thing that I think is really enjoyable about finding these new finger picking artists is that, like, since we're all individuals, we can all really add a little something to the conversation of finger picking, because you're not really, unless you're covering somebody else's music, you're going to have a uniqueness to your own idea, and it's like Dan Neal, I'm sure he has, like, he must play his own way and have his own idea and sound. So it's,
Country, blues, folk, beats, anything. Man.
And then when you get into folk, there's even other channels of folk and blues, like the Appalachian stuff, or a Piedmont style blues, or Mississippi Hill Country kind of blues was very much drone. They'd pretty much play one chord and just a whole lot of rhythm to it. They might not even alternate the bass. They might just stick on the 1 6 string, the whole time.
Right.
R.L. Burnside.
I know the Burnsides and the Kimbrows.
Yeah. You and the Smoking Barrels had done some traveling down there.
Yeah, I know all those guys, man. It's really cool to get down there and meet some of the real.
Yeah, the OGs.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's it. What's another great thing about like those old blues guys is that half of them are related. Like Bucka White was the cousin to B.B. King's mother.
Yeah.
Like they all just grew up around each other.
Right.
And all that.
Well, we have a local guy that is related to a very famous blues guy.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. Do you know Bernard Allison?
I don't know them, no.
His dad's Luther Allison.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Bernard, he's everywhere.
No kidding. Yeah, Luther Allison was great. He was a good figure of that like 70s wave of southern bluesters.
Bernard plays like his dad too, though.
Yeah.
It's really
It's got to
cool.
be hard not to, if I'm guessing that he probably grows up hearing it and being exposed to it all the time. It's got to just get into your DNA.
And then you know Junior Guitar Watson, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I used to. His nephew was part of our band for a while. Ron Wolf and the Smoking Barrels.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep.
Wow. I think Ron might have told me about something like that.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
there's just a lot of local guys around here. You'd be surprised.
Yeah. I haven't been made too well aware. I'm always looking for those guys, though. You don't think of blues when you hear Minneapolis. The legacy of the Minneapolis sound from the 80s still kind of carries its name through here.
Right. Well, you got Sonny Rogers, you got Bobby Johnson and the Crowns, you got so many different guys.
Yeah.
We'll have to hang out sometime, drink some beer, and I'll tell you a bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah. You got yourself a deal.
Cool.
Yeah.
I gotta go see what these guys are doing.
Oh yeah. What I find really cool is that when I asked you where you got your finger picking style from, and you kind of just like got some ideas, kind of just like picked up along the way from like some stuff you had heard.
Yeah.
And I love how deep the influence goes from like the deep blues. Like you might not have gotten it from that directly, but it still had an effect on someone else that then passed it on to you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I think like I didn't really think about it a lot, and and just while we're sitting here talking, I feel like I can make more connections. But I mean, I was a Led Zeppelin fan early on, and I think they have some of the roots with blues.
Oh
and so,
yeah, for sure.
Just some of that finger picking, like in Going to California, I'm like, all right, I just still love that like I did the first time I heard it.
Right.
Yeah, it just never went away.
Yeah.
And then, even like the Rolling Stones too, like their influence of blues and their open, there was some open G playing in there, and I think I just heard that, and it's like, all right, I could identify it on some level, and So I think that just kept me going. You know, and like, okay, I like the sound of that. It's deeper, it's darker, and but it's more comfortable too.
Yeah.
Like I don't like. I think it's more comfortable for me to be in that the folk or blues than it is to like lean towards. I would just say modern pop music.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of songs I play, like the one of them in the middle. It was "Pillows of Sound," which is like a more of a rocker song. The one that you said that should be on an album. You know, it's like that's a little. I feel like more universal, and people can identify with it more, and it's just easier and catchier.
When you kind of modernify, you know, the like the roots music.
Yeah.
It's like you can kind of use it as like a Trojan horse into young people's minds. You know, you can trick them into enjoying the blues. You know. Yeah.
That's a good way of saying that. There's I've noticed with that song that like there be people that are older than me that will like nod along and be like, man, I kind of like that.
Yeah.
And then there's people that that are much younger too, and then they're like, oh, kind of like that. So it seems to be able to go with a range. So I'm like, all right, I feel like that's when I see a lot of like the different generations enjoying one sound, I feel like, all right, there's got to be something there, so we'll hone in on that one and try to make that one better.
Yeah, like your word choice, universal. When you find something universal, it's really something to pay attention to, and like kind of like what about it is appealing to so many different types of people and ages and age ranges.
And there, a lot of the song choices tonight, there is at least I think maybe 4 or 5 songs that I chose just because whenever I play them, people seem to look at me more and they seem to like acknowledge it more, and I feel like that's the kind of I think validation that in a way I would say I need. You know, like it's fun to play for myself, right? But at the same time it's like, well, that after a while you're like, you just want to play when you want to share it.
It doesn't feed you.
No, not really.
Get that energy from the crowd.
Exactly. And I'm glad you said that, because in the beginning when I finished the first song or two, I'm like, oh, like I don't I'm used to seeing like a number of people, and like you can just read more, and as I'm more newer at the playing out and sharing all the songs and looking for venues, so I'm still very much on the journey, but I completely agree that you need the crowd there to help you out.
Yeah, you need that energy. I mean, don't be discouraged. You will play many empty rooms.
Yeah, and that's
but as long as you're playing.
Then, to be real, I think about that when I'm playing. Or sometimes it's like there's another voice, even though I'm like working my hands and using my voice, and there's a thought where it's like, well, this is the journey. There will be times when there's a lot more people, and there'll be other times where there's fewer.
And I guarantee you, every band out there has had to play to an empty room. I mean, some of those guys that have the biggest draws.
Yeah.
They still, man, they get those gigs.
Yeah.
And they get up there and they play all night, and there's 6 people in the audience.
And I love hearing that, by the way.
That
gives you confidence.
You can tell that's going on when they don't pan the crowd.
Yeah.
If they're just focused on the artist, if somebody's like videotaping or something, they focus on the artist.
Yeah.
Chances are they're probably playing to an empty room.
Yeah.
Because it does happen.
Yeah, I believe it. Oh, I've heard it too. Just in some of the the podcasts that I do listen to, and they're interviewing musicians, they'll talk about when they came up and how they remember playing to rooms where there was 6 people, or just playing to the servers tonight. Yeah. And I think, I don't know, it reminds me that it's a journey, and it's a passion, and it's something that helps me feel connected to the world.
Oh, yeah,
and to my family and to my friends. Like when playing, sometimes I think, all right, where am I going to find this energy to push through the song that maybe I just screwed up the harmonica? It's like, well, we got to find some energy to keep going. And I'll just think, all right, how much do I love them? And it's like, all right, use that to finish up.
Right.
Sometimes,
create that drive, the drive to get through that song that you just train wrecked.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
I know. I think we've all been there on that one too.
Right. And you don't have a choice either. You're not going to stop, right? You just got to keep going. And
yeah, I've talked to a lot of national entertainers and stuff, local people, and they all say the same thing, man. You're gonna mess up.
Yeah.
But you gotta play it, man. You gotta keep rolling.
Yeah.
Because chances are nobody's gonna know you made that mistake except yourself.
Yeah.
And maybe a couple of your close musician buddies who'll heckle you later about it.
It's hard to sometimes not talk about it because I know because I just did it, but most people probably don't notice. So you're almost better. Like sometimes you feel like, all right, Keith, just don't even bring that up.
Right.
They probably didn't notice. So.
Yeah, they probably thought you did it on purpose.
Yeah, exactly. It must be part of the song. Okay.
That's always my excuse. I meant to do that.
Yeah, right.
That was supposed to be there.
No, that was supposed to hit that note. Yeah.
Or that's not crooked. It's abstract.
That's what makes me an artist. Right?
If you're really good, like Miles Davis, he would hear a mistake from his band. There's a story told by Herbie Hancock how he played the wrong chord in the middle of one of Miles Davis's great solos, and instead of getting lost, what Miles did was he played some notes following that incorrect chord that made his chord correct.
Oh,
if he played out of key, Miles Davis quickly just played in the key that was played incorrectly to make it sound fitting. And those jazz guys who are really good at improvising and like on the spot playing, it's like an exercise of taking the situation in as it is and hearing the music as an event.
Right.
And not trying too hard to control the situation, but reacting to it.
Like that's jazz for you.
Yeah, being present and being live, and it's like, okay, well, this is life happening.
Yeah, and you can take that idea and apply it, like you said, life happening. You can apply it to anything. It's just a rolling with the punches kind of thing.
Yeah. I think too many musicians forget that.
They get in their head and they try too hard to control the situation.
Yeah, they forget that, and that's what's good about jam sessions. Is going to them jam sessions. Because you get up on stage, you're with a bunch of people you never played with before. You have no idea what song they're going to do or how they're going to do it.
Yeah.
And it's, okay, 1, 2, 3, and everybody's live. And it's like, what key? You're trying to figure it out. You're just looking at hands. And they just roll with it and better figure it out.
Yeah, I suppose the more time in a jam session, the more comfortable you must get just being, like, allowing life to happen right there with those musicians.
Yeah, that's the way to do it, man. All you guys out there, if you ain't going and hitting these jams, you better do it.
I'm so guilty as charged. I'll have to say I've never done it. And I feel like I know that I need to, though. Yeah, for sure.
You should.
But just part of it is I'll have to ask you before we finish up today about like where some jam sessions happen.
Yeah.
Because it's also I'm not intimidated to get on the stage and like sing my stuff, but like sitting down, it's like, oh man, like I don't even know what I'm gonna do, and so it's like it'll be humbling, which is probably really good for. For any sort of development, you gotta all right, let's just humble down.
Yeah, it will definitely teach you some humble.
Yeah,
and that's good.
That's
there's
awesome.
nothing wrong with that. Everybody gotta have a piece of humble pie.
Like especially if you're like doing it all on your own, like a solo guy, you just shoot. Can't just keep riding that wave. I feel like you gotta break down.
Yeah.
Break it down, peel it apart, strip it down, and then reinvent. I feel like that could be a good place.
Yep, could be. They are. I've learned a lot from just going to jams.
Yeah.
You get up, you play, you get done. Everybody's like, they like what you did.
Yeah.
And then there's always that one person that'll come over and go, well, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but if you would have did this, or if you wouldn't have did that, it would have sounded better.
Yeah.
And you can't get offended at that point. You just got to take it in and give it some thought, because that person's usually right.
And I feel that it's it's important to get that. Someone that needs to be brave, or just tell you like it is. Like, hey, that right there, what you're doing, good for you, but it might not apply here.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Like, you might think so, but it doesn't work. And if you're going to try to push that to the crowd,
yeah.
Those are good things to know.
Yeah, they are. Absolutely.
So you can develop some really good friendships through them jams too.
Yeah.
So I've met a lot of people over the years from the jams that I've gone to.
How did you get started with harmonica?
I started playing when I was really young. I didn't want to go over and watch this band rehearse in the basement.
Yeah.
One day I just walked in and sat down, and there was one on a chair next to me, and it said, "Hey, you, pick me up."
Yeah.
But I picked it up and I started playing. And
yeah.
Had a couple of people tell me that, give me some encouragement. And
yep.
That's when it all started. So.
That's a big deal. Those words of encouragement. I feel like a lot of us, I know I did, just like at a certain point, you need the words. You need someone to give you a little bit of validation, like, hey, that sounds okay. Like you're doing all right. Just keep going.
The two people that gave me the words of encouragement and pushed me forward. One became a college professor, music professor, and the other one went on to be a national entertainer. So.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really cool.
Really nice.
Anyway, back to you.
Yeah, well, it was, conversational, You gotta just gotta want to learn a little bit about you guys too.
That's what makes a good podcast, anyways, or any interview situation. It's just conversational, natural, flowing, organic. Well, just people hanging out, talking about whatever we're talking about.
The reason why I was asking about where Rick learned is because people have asked me the same thing, like, how do you learn that? And there's no instruction, like there was no reading. I didn't take a class. In fact, I think at the time it was like giving up. I used to be a smoker, so I just was giving it up, and I was driving around and a lot, and so I was I was listening to some Neil Young, and there's a band from Philadelphia called G Love and Special Sauce. I used to listen to a lot, and they played a lot of harmonica, and so I was like, all right, how do I just kind of help the oral fixation, I suppose. I just bought one, and I was like, I really want to learn this song, but play the harmonica and probably bought a C, in the key of C.
That's a universal key, by the way.
Yeah.
The harmonica. Key of C is a universal key.
But in this case, I was like, I can't find that. It wasn't that one. So then I went out and bought another one. It wasn't that one. And I just keep going until I found the one it was in. I'm like, that's it. We're there. So just driving and listening and not giving up. And
you have several different positions that
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, what I've come to realize is most people assume the harmonica is easy.
Yeah.
And this is what I figured out, that one of the reasons everybody thinks it's so easy, harmonica is the only instrument when you watch somebody play it, you don't get a visual.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah, really true. Yeah.
Somebody playing guitar or horn or anything else, you can see what they're doing. You can't see it on a harmonica.
No, you can, and I think it's really fun, like when playing, like to bend those notes, and I feel like you can get a lot of feeling. You can get a lot of feeling in there, like, and it's and it's coming from the chest and from the throat, as opposed to, like, if you're playing a guitar, you have to you do need to be technically good and have built up all that skill in your fingers and the memory and to be able to play all over the fretboard, right? Or like finger pick and multiple styles. But I feel like with the harmonica, there's some, I really enjoyed learning it, because I was like, okay, this can be a lot of feeling, like this.
Oh, yeah. You can when you do a draw bend, you can do a draw bend, and then you can do an underbend. It's kind of like, first want to bring it down half step, and if you're really good, you can bring it down a whole step. And it's the same way with your blow bends. They call that overblow, where you get in there and you push it, you bring it up that half a step, and if you push it hard, you can bring it up another half step, bring it up one hole.
Yeah.
It's not that easy.
I'm sure it takes some time. Yeah.
I mean, I was baffled on why it was so easy for me to play. I was bending notes. I didn't even know what bending a note was.
Right.
Or
right.
how it was supposed to be done. And I was already doing it. I couldn't figure it out. And then my cousin did some history searching and found out that harmonica goes back to our first ancestor that migrated to the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as far as she could trace it back, it's like every other generation.
Yeah.
Every other generation played. So.
Just got it in the DNA.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's great. I know I had, I was, sometimes I wonder where my interest in music came from because I didn't have a lot of family that were like pushing it on me. But I did have some really good friends that were, I was caught kind of on the radio waves. And then eventually some good friends were like, hey, try this stuff, that you might not be hearing on the radio all the time. And it was like getting exposed to some of the non-traditional radio tunes. But now I feel like we have our cups are overflowing with those options because we have all these different outlets for music. But 20 years ago or 30 years ago, I feel like you just had the radio.
Yeah,
you had
to fight to get there.
Yeah, you had to really work to find, something that wasn't being on the, that wasn't on the radio that you really liked.
Right. Now there's just so much out there that it's
right.
just as difficult because you have so many
Good
avenues.
point. Yeah, that's very true. That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
So you got any upcoming shows?
There's a couple shows a little bit later this month. I'll be at it's at Mojo Coffee House, an art gallery that's in Northeast Minneapolis.
Okay, cool.
And that would be on the 25th. It's a Saturday.
This
I
month?
believe. Yep.
All right.
And just be playing for an hour. There'll be some other singer-songwriters playing as well. It's a nice, quiet environment.
Yeah, the singer-songwriter acoustic performances in the coffee shop are a really nice way to spend your afternoon. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'll have to swing by. That sounds like fun. Yeah.
And having those, putting those on the board, really force you to sharpen up your skills too. If you don't have something coming up, then all of a sudden you can get rusty real fast.
Yeah, I've heard some musicians. I think Jack White in several interviews has mentioned if you're not on a label, you have no deadlines to make. So then you can kind of just goof off.
Yeah.
But if you have these time restrictions, you get more creative because you have to be.
Yeah. I believe that. Yeah. And there's even for today, there were some songs that I didn't play, but I really sharpened up a lot before coming here, thinking that, all right, well, depending on how much time I play, I may fit those in. And so with that deadline, it was really forced me to think about lyrics and play style. All right, there's this couple songs I really like and haven't played them out before, so I better start working on them. Better start hitting it hard. And yeah, you just take more time off, you make it work.
Yeah.
To get ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did do one, my first extended play project earlier this year, and I called it Happiness is Hard. And I put 3 songs on there. 2 of them I played tonight. One of them was Taking Off and Landing, and another one was Real Good Love. And both of those are in open tunings. But that was the first go through of being recorded and being in a booth and working through the editing process and working with other musicians, and really it was quite eye-opening. But it gave me a good perspective on how people actually, or how music is made today, and how it's not all live where you sit down and do it all together. There's a lot of
post-production.
A lot of post-production, a ton, yeah. But it was, that was also helpful in all right, here's the music industry now. Here's what people do, and it was a good way to get exposure and give me some confidence going forward. Because the Pillows of Song sound we're working on that now, turning it into kind of a punkier rock song, and
oh, cool.
I'll be excited to share that. I'm sure I'll put it out in maybe the next 6 months or so.
Yeah, you mentioned that you had 5 other songs that you were
For sure, man.
Yeah, you've been working on and thinking about putting on together for another album coming up.
Like to, yeah. Still really in the, I guess, the process of deciding which songs they would be and what the overall sound would be like. So just kind of choosing and letting it simmer. And fortunately, this is a passion and it's not as much a job.
Right.
So, to your point earlier, I don't have so much a deadline. Like if I don't, I'm gonna get canned.
Yeah.
If I don't finish in time, but I mean, at least I have these ideas germinating, and I can do it at my own pace, which is kind of nice too.
Yeah, you could get, being relaxed, I think, also has its own qualities as well.
When things are rushed and it's like, well, we got to put it all in, there right now, and it needs to be done by a certain date. I feel like it's easier to make mistakes. Like,
sure, you can maybe gloss over some details.
Well, yeah, and like I think when we're writing songs and putting things together, sometimes you need to do it and then just let it sit for a week. Like, play it, put it on the stereo a few times, and do you really like that, or did it just sound cool that night?
Yeah, don't overthink a song.
Yeah, that's
a lot of people do that. They get in the studio and they play.
Yeah.
And then they listen back to it and they go, I don't like that. I can do
Even
better.
Paul McCartney.
I can do better. I can do better. And before you know it, they just totally train wrecked the whole song because they tried to over polish it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some beauty to just the simplicity of, that's a good little jam. All right, let's make a song, and all right, let's just sit there for a minute.
You're right.
There's I can't remember what song it was for, but he heard like an incorrect note. He heard something incorrect about one of the Beatles recordings, and then the rest of the band was like, "What are you talking about?" And he just went crazy trying to tell them that how something was like incorrect.
Yeah.
And like he was just like way overthinking it, and like it was a Beatles song, it sounded terrific. We wouldn't be able to tell the audience.
Exactly.
99.9 to the nth decimal is not going to be able to tell the mistakes that you were perceiving from your own recordings.
He was probably the only one.
Yeah, exactly.
He's the 1%.
Yeah, yeah.
That song "Blinded by the Light." Mm-hmm. Those lyrics were totally messed up while they were recording it.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. And I can't remember who wrote it, but they were.
I think it was Springsteen.
They were furious.
Yeah.
That they recorded it that way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. They were not happy at all, and it just about didn't make it.
Yeah. Wow.
They weren't going to release it. And then boom, look.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that song.
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, so overthinking stuff, man. You can only polish it so much.
Right.
I think it's a luxury too, just being the writer or performer of the song. And that's like why I don't really necessarily, I don't have a whole lot of interest in being the guy like doing all the mixing and editing. Like it's fun to watch that and like be a part of it, no question. But I feel like you could get lost in there with the overthinking and does it sound right?
Yeah.
Is it good?
If you're giving yourself too much control,
it's like
of
I
it
don't
as
even want that.
As the artist,
You're right.
You gotta,
Yeah. I feel like
hand it off to someone else that doesn't have that emotional investment to it.
Oh, just
let them do their job.
Let them do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Sometimes it's just easier to pay somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that stuff because you get invested in it. It can go too far. And we did a 4-song cassette back in the day in the mid '90s, and 2 of the songs we kind of put some extra in, overdub stuff like that. But there was one song, and I'd been telling the band for weeks, when we go in there, we only have so much time.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do this song. And we're going to do it in one take, one cut. And if it doesn't come out, that's it. We're not using it. And that was my drive to get everybody together to really focus and make it right. And then the day of, we went into the studio. that whole morning I was listening to some old blues, Muddy Waters and Junior Wells and stuff, and we got to the studio and we laying the song out, and at the end of it, there was just something there, and I laid some extra licks in, and at the very end of the song, they were there for the rest of the time.
Yeah, there you go.
They were there for the rest of the time. That
That's
just
awesome.
totally changed the song.
Yeah.
Just a couple little licks
Yeah.
at the end of it. But it turned out one take. It turned out perfect. Man.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. Sometimes I can appreciate that just like a couple licks will do it. Will make the whole song sound or feel different.
Totally change it. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I think we've stretched past our time, and it's time to close the store and the mall and open up. Well, anyway, we can go home and drink a beer. Let me just put it down. I was gonna say, open up the bar. I'd love to have a bar. If I ever have a bar, I'm gonna name it Uncle Abel's Juke Joint.
All right. First round's on you. I'll
That's
be there.
right. First round will be on me. I'll probably spill. And that's it for us today. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Not the Systems Sunday Showcase. Be cool, be safe.
Thanks, guys.